Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Guys, welcome back to Working Fans Presents. And this is another one in our special collaboration with Cage My IQ. And this is UFC fighter Claudio Puelles, I believe, is how you say his last name. It is the fighter. You'll see the graphic when it comes up. But we are presenting some interviews that a friend of ours, Dan Backley, did for his site, Cage My IQ. And he'll be presenting some of ours. So this interview tonight is brought to you by the Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 1, and Lance by Chance, both written by Vinny Berry, available at WrestleVille.com. All the rest of the books that I'm about to mention are available on Amazon.com, including Super Vows and Pas de Deux, written by friend of the show, Kevin Kelton. I'll Be Here All Week, and All That's Left, written by Ward Anderson, as well as his stand-up special. Blood and Fire, the unbelievable real-life story of wrestling's original Sheik, written by Brian R. Solomon. How Not to Suck at Comedy by Pat Oates. Mat Memories by John Arezzi and Greg Oliver. If you're an artist in Connecticut looking for studio time, check out the great people over at Connecticut People Records. And if you're searching on YouTube for something to watch and you want to hear this guy right here, as well as the man they call Dave, check out our wrestling commentary home of New Heights Wrestling. Now, enough of the talking.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cage My IQ. As always, I'm your host, D-Big. Today, I got a wonderful guest lined up for you guys. I got Claudio El Nino Puelles, who's coming in 11-2. He's 4-1 in the UFC and just came off an exciting victory over Chris Grutzmacher. Give us a hand for Claudio Puelles. How's it going, Claudio?
Hey, man. Good. Good to be here in the program.
Yep. How did it feel to pick up the victory a couple weeks ago on Fight Night?
It felt good, for sure. It felt very good. It was one of my goals for this year to go and basically do more than one fight a year, which has been something recurring over the last couple of years, and I really wanted to get over that. I needed to come to the States to train, to have compete more often, and yeah, that happened this year. I made 2 wins. Next year, gotta be even better. Get those 3 wins. Get ranked. Smash a couple of those goals.
Especially the fight before this against Jordan Levitt. I loved that fight. I was one of the only people of all my friends to pick you in that fight. They thought that he was gonna have you in the grappling, but I told everybody that your wrestling and your grappling is very underrated. And I thought you were just going to smother him and win that fight. And, of course, you didn't let me down in that fight, and you got the victory in that. And, then, of course, going into this fight, I thought you had a lot of momentum from the Levitt fight. But we'll get into that in a second. The first thing I want to get started with you is how is it coming over from Peru? You're one of the only fighters from Peru in the UFC right now. how does it feel to be one of the people carrying that the burden of the country on your shoulder within the UFC?
Man, what can I say about that? It has like two sides, but I definitely always look to the positive side. Like I try to I like you said, like my game's underrated, so a lot of people they don't know Peru as a country of like of fighters that excels like in something, you know. So we're basically we don't do like kickboxing growing up or wrestling or jiu-jitsu, but I had what it was needed to like be a full like complete mixed martial artist. So I've been doing everything for a while. Like I've been doing everything for a while already. So I think I'm very underrated, and I don't know, people like start like finding out about me and every time I fight. They learn a new thing or two.
All everybody needs to know is your name on Instagram, the Prince of Peru. That's all you need to know about how you feel about the country. I think you've taken it with stride, and then you've just used it as a beacon of positivity. And like you're just a great fighter to watch. Like I've seen you grow little by little each fight. But let's get started with the beginning. How was life like growing up early on, and then what led you to MMA? How did you discover it?
All right, so I wouldn't behave very good when I was a kid, like especially in school. I mean, I was someone who liked being very active, who was like being very active, and I did a lot of sports growing up. I played like everything I could in school. Well, was basically like soccer, swimming, basketball, volleyball, everything I could. I just tried it. I just tried it out. The sports they had in Peru in school, like, well, they don't have wrestling. Of course, I would have picked it up from very young if I could. But I did my part. I did what I could until I found combat sports when I was already a little like older, like 14. I started training jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai. But all those like growing up in Peru, it was good. You know, like it wasn't bad. It was not like it's different than here, but it was good for me. It was good for me, especially because I could start fighting from a young age, like actually competing. Like let's say I had grown up here, I would have been, like I said, I would have been wrestling. I would have been wrestling in high school until I finished, and I'm probably on to college if I excelled, which I think I would have. But in Peru, I started fighting MMA when I was 16, and here they don't allow that. So I was 15 looking for fights already. I couldn't get any. I couldn't get an opponent. But so I made my debut like a year later. But when I found a fight, but I was already looking for a fight. So you imagine like a 15-year-old kid like already looking to fight, amateur or whatever. But I was already getting that experience. So that kind of that's how I got to the UFC very early. I was very young. I wasn't ready, but I was there already when I was young.
Do you think it was a good thing that you didn't have wrestling in Peru and you had to like kind of like discover a little bit of all the parts of MMA, because then it made you a little bit more of a overall better fighter rather than just a heavy wrestling guy who tried to do something else? Do you think it was a little bit better that you didn't have wrestling?
No, it's not. It's not that I think it was better or not. It's just the way things happen. The way that's what life gave me. You know, I've thought many times like what would happen if I had like wrestle like I said instead of like started fighting young. I don't know, but I am where I like right now. I'm happy with my life right now. So I don't care what would have happened if my path would have been different. Like if I would have like wrestled in high school or other thing.
If you would have told somebody after watching a couple of your fights that you had no wrestling background, you would have been people would have been like, no, he's lying, because you just have that knack for getting guys down. Whether it's just like forcing them down and getting them down on the mat, you do a very good job with that. Like, what kind of training have you done to get better at that?
So the thing is, I started doing a lot of grappling, a lot of grappling. So I felt very like comfortable on the mats, like on the ground and everything. So we've spent so many hours doing that. Then I started fighting MMA, and I felt that the fight on the ground was like more like one-sided, as opposed to like being like fighting standing up, where anybody can land at any moment and get like a knockout. So I don't know. I just felt it was like my best way to win. And I do everything. Like I said, I'm a complete mixed martial artist. But whenever I hit the mats, I know I'm gonna be in control. Like I know what the guys on bottom are gonna do. I know what I need to do in order. Of course, it's never perfect. Like people are gonna be good. They're gonna like try to get up. They're gonna try to sweep you. They're gonna try to like throw strikes from bottom. But I don't know. I feel like I can do that for like 3 rounds anytime. Like I can out grapple people for like 3 or 4 rounds if I need to.
Yeah, I know I mentioned it earlier. It was very impressive to see you take down and manhandle Jordan Levitt, because he's a big time grappler expert, and you just had your way with him. And I think that's what caught people off guard, was they were seeing Levitt as a grappling expert, and they gravitated towards picking him. But here you are, you took him down several times, held him on the mat, and got the victory. I think that's why the UFC pushed you to fight a different guy in Grutzmacher, more of a striker, staying up, because they wanted to see what you had to offer against that, because they didn't think, I have a feeling they didn't think you were going to win against Levitt, and then you proved them wrong.
That's true. I do believe that too. I'm not saying they sent me in to lose that fight, but they probably thought I was gonna get out grappled. And you know, when you were saying that, a lot of people thought they were gonna, like, he was gonna out grapple you. I felt that too, like leading up to the fight. Like a lot of people thought he was gonna like maybe even finish me or submit me, and that got me a little mad. So I wanted to prove that night that he wasn't gonna grapple me. Like I wanted to prove that. That's why like I stayed a lot on the ground on that fight. Like we fought like basically like a grappling fight, and as opposed to this last fight, which I mean it was like a full martial arts fight, full MMA. Like we did everything. How like it had everything: striking, wrestling, grappling, like everything. It was like good. Yeah, I think like what after watching it, I think it was like a good like fight for the fans as well.
Yeah, I feel like he would have been a better if he was trying to stand and grapple, whereas you like to get the fight to the ground and then use the transitions. That's why I see in your tape. Yeah, you do a lot of smooth transitions when you get the guy to the ground, and he allowed you to get the fight to your way of fighting, and then that's what made it easier for you, was you got the fight to the ground. Because if it was standing up, I think that's where his grappling is a lot better at, when it's standing up. Whereas, like I said, yours is better on the ground, where you can smoothly transition from side guard to top guard and whatnot. But before I get into the Grutzmacher fight, I just want to ask you, knowing that Peru, being one of the only people there, what were some of your favorite athletes growing up?
Some of my favorite athletes growing up. So maybe a couple of them are already like out of date, you know? Like maybe some of them are already retired, because it's been so. Well, I used to like. Are you talking like MMA or MMA fighters or
anything? Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's go by sport. Let me remember a little bit, because I've been like so like submerged in MMA.
Yeah.
I forget everything else. But for example, like I like tennis. For example, watching. No, I don't play much.
Yeah.
I like watching tennis. So Roger Federer, always follow that guy. Rafael Nadal as well. I follow Michael Phelps too. I think he's a great athlete. In soccer, I watched a lot of soccer. I used to, but not anymore. Like I haven't like watched soccer for like a long time. So, but when I was playing, like when I liked soccer in elementary school or whatever, I used to follow Ronaldinho. You know him? I don't know the
Yeah,
curly
Brazilian,
guys.
Ronaldinho with
Yeah,
the long hair. Yeah,
yeah.
he was
Ronaldinho.
great with. He was great with the footwork with the soccer ball, and
Yes.
then I used to love
Such an
watching him.
athlete.
Yeah, yeah, it's watching him on Brazil, Barcelona. Like he was just very good with that. It sucks that he kind of fell off later on, and then you haven't really heard about him. But he was definitely like skill wise. I
Yes,
compared him.
that. Hmm.
Yeah, I compared him to Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, just with how he was able to dribble the ball and be a playmaker.
Yeah, so skilled, so skilled. Yeah, well, changing sport, I love skateboarding as well. So, well, of course, like Tony Hawk's like the most famous skater, but well, there are a lot of other names, a lot of other big names that I follow. Too many to mention, but that's another sport I really enjoy.
I did
Yeah,
read that. I did read that you do skateboard. Uh,
yeah.
how much do you skateboard, and what's the hardest trick that you've been able to do?
I can still land regular. I can like regularly still land like 360 flips, like hard flips, like I can do a lot. I can do a lot. Like so I don't skate as often as I would like because
Of
it
course,
it
yeah.
it's too many injuries, you know. Like and like when I came back because I stopped skating for a long time. But when I came back, I only came back to flat ground tricks. Like I don't do much more. Last year when I first got to Florida, I went on like a skate park tour. Like I wanted to get to know all the well known
Yeah.
like skate parks in Miami at least. And I went to this new one, and I was on a quarter pipe, the ramps, and I felt like so bad on my hip that I had like a huge like, bruise all over my hips. Like I broke my phone, and it was kind of like fun story. At the time, it was not fun, but after looking back, I mean, it was fun. Like I had like 2 weeks in Miami only, and I broke my phone, so I didn't, and I had a car, but I didn't know how to get back to my house because I needed the GPS. I needed like the GPS, the maps. I didn't know how to get back. It was crazy. It was such a crazy day. But after that day that I got that fall, like yeah, I stopped like doing like ramps and all that, and I'm only gonna do flat ground and not that often because it still messes up with your ankles a lot, and it's kind of tough sport, you know. Like those guys are very tough. Like they take big falls.
Yeah, I used to watch the X Games all the time. I haven't watched it in quite a bit though, but I used to be just amazed at all the tricks that they could do. And then now you got the big air, that big ramp that the one guy always does
Yeah,
at the X
a huge
Games,
ramp.
and it's just crazy how they do all those tricks. It's like I'd be scared to do just the basic go down the ramp. And you got these guys doing that. You got Tony Hawk doing the 900. Like I would be too scared to do any of that.
There's a kid now that like just did like a 1200 or something, like something crazy. Like I'm talking like a 12-year-old or like 14-year-old kid. Crazy times, man. Levels like people are leveling up in every sport. They're like breaking records. Like this started like at such a young age with like a lot of new knowledge and training methods and all this like craziness that this changes sports. Like humans are like made to like break records.
It's just like where a lot of people were only in the 30s doing it, but now you got people in the late teens, early 20s that are breaking the business as pros now because of the everyone early on paving the way for them. So it's like that in every sport now. You got the people
Yep.
paving the way, and you got people coming in younger than ever, so that they could learn and then have a longer career compared to everyone before them.
But let's say, for example, in MMA, you don't.
Yeah.
It's a sport where you don't peak like very young, right? Like you don't see no like 20-year-old champs. Like that doesn't happen because first of all, you need to be like a full grown adult to like have all your like physical like attributes like at your time at the best. Sorry. Also, you cannot fight like in many countries before 18, so you're not gonna see like a UFC world champ at 20. That's very weird. So the thing I wanted to say is, John Jones, for example, he was like the youngest champion ever, right? At 23. The other day he tweeted something that may have sounded cocky for some people, but I think it's very true. He said, "I don't see nobody breaking my record on being like the youngest champion in the UFC." This he said like this may sound cocky, but with the sport like developing so fast and becoming more competitive, it's gonna be so hard that somebody like is a champion before that, because like everybody's getting way better now. So people having like tougher fights, like coming up like right off like their first fights, and you know, like, who's gonna win that thing, the UFC belt before 23? That's crazy.
I think he just broke in just at the right time where he was very unique with his fighting style 10, 15 years ago. Like you said, when he was like 21 coming in, because then you had a lot of guys that are only kind of one dimensional, and then he was a tall guy.
Yeah.
He had that wrestling background that even though he wasn't as tall, he has like one of the biggest reaches in MMA, especially for his height. So he was kind of like a anomaly coming in, and it was hard to get inside of him because of it. And he's gotten better since then. He's been inactive, but he was able to just fool people early on. And then I think he had 6 or 7 fights before he even got the title shot too, at that age. So,
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think that he was 23. He had 7 fights already in the UFC, and then he won the title. So, and then ever since then, just like we said, now you got people that are trained multi-dimensional now. So it will be harder for them to come in younger and win the title at that age.
Yeah, that's exactly. You said it. It just doesn't. I don't see it happening like anytime soon. And
Yeah.
I guess very true. John Jones he had like all the physical like attributes he needed to like be like crazy good in his division. So yeah, he did it.
No, I want to transition to your most recent fight with Chris Grutzmacher. How was training camp leading up until the fight?
It was good, man. It was good. I came into that training camp with like good momentum.
Yeah.
Coming like leading off the Leavitt fight. Also, I felt like I was more active. Like I said, like I hadn't had 2 fights in the same year in some time. So I basically finished that fight and like rested just a little bit to go back home and like see my family. I still trained over there, and I came back and I started my camp again. So and I got that fight kind of quick after I came, like the schedule, you know. So so it was good. I trained good. I trained hard. Same thing, Sanford MMA here in South Florida. It was a good camp. I didn't have like no crazy injuries. I worked hard. I implemented a couple new things for my preparation, especially, you know, that's something we can play with. You can play with whenever you have like a long camp and you know your opponent like 3 months in advance. You can add things. You can take things like whatever in order of like whatever you're gonna like fight. You know.
Did you catch any of his fight with I believe it was Rafa Garcia to prep for it, or were you just working with the coaches and they did the prep of watching it to game plan for it?
So I knew that was his last fight. Like his most recent fight was that Rafa Garcia fight. I looked for it like a couple, like 2.5 months before we fought. I tried looking for it, but I didn't find tape, and I ended up watching that fight the day we fought, like in the morning. Yeah. I so the week of the fight, I was like, should I watch this fight? And I was like, nah, I don't need it. It's like it's already too late. It's already too late to watch it. It's like it's not gonna do anything. Like it's not gonna like it's gonna be useless to watch it. So I didn't. But then the day of the fight, I was like thinking about the fight. Okay, I was like, okay, it's gonna happen today. I'm ready. I've done everything I've had to. And then I was like, wait, I haven't watched that fight. That's like his most recent fights. If I don't watch it and I don't win, I'm gonna regret this. I'm gonna be mad at myself because it was something I could control and I didn't do it. It's not like it was not out of my hands. I could control it. So I went on YouTube and I found the tape. Like somebody must have like uploaded like recent to the fight because I looked at like a couple months in advance and I didn't find anything. So well, I watched the fight and I'm glad I did. Because there was a couple things I could pick up that actually helped me in the fight.
That's what I was going to ask, if you saw anything with it that was useful with prepping for the fight. And I know watching it, I felt like he got a little bit stronger in that fight because he got taken down a lot in that fight. Garcia's not a guy that would take you down a lot, but he took him down 5 times and was able to have success with it. But he allowed Grutzbacher to get up, and then that's where Grutzbacher later on, when Garcia got tired, was able to get his striking going. Is that something that you saw and then you implemented, trying to take him down and controlling him on the mat?
Yes, that was exactly the biggest thing I took from that fight. The only fight I had seen from him before that one was the Joe Lawson fight, which he did pretty good. He put a hurt on him and basically TKO him. And I saw the Alexander Hernandez fight, which he got knocked out pretty fast in a minute. So out of those fights, I didn't see a very competitive fight in the Lawson fight. And then I only saw a knockout in a minute on the other fight, which doesn't tell you much. So I didn't really have good tape to look at, I didn't. So when I saw this Garcia fight, I don't know, it kind of opened my eyes on new things. That's why actually I came out in the first round and took him down. That was not my game plan. I was planning on to stand up, kick him very hard, work my left hand. That was my game plan, which I didn't. I didn't in a couple moments we were standing up, but yeah, I kind of switched my game plan. I was okay, I'm gonna take this guy down. I see he doesn't get up very well from bottom, so I'm just gonna take him down and try. I'm not gonna stay. I'm gonna advance position. That's why I passed his guard. I mounted him. I was I feel like I can submit him or TKO him from top. So and if not, I'm just gonna try to slow him down because I know he puts on high pace fights. So I was okay, I'm just gonna slow him down a little bit, hurt him a little bit on the ground, and then he's not gonna be the same on the feet. I mean, he did a pretty good job in the second round. He's still put on high pace despite I did some damage on the first round and I was mounted for a long time. But well, he's a fighter, man. Props to him. He's a good fighter, and he comes in to win.
I was impressed with your striking in that fight. I thought you didn't do too much in the Levitt fight. I felt but in this one, you had to use it a little bit. I thought the striking looked better than I expected. Has that been something that you've been working on improving? That way people don't just think that you're a grappler that just looks to take people down, that they have to kind of fear your hands. Because you did a good job. Even at one point, I thought you hit him good and had him rocked a bit.
Yeah, I thought I heard him for a moment, but he's a tough guy. He can take a shot.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. Also in the Levy fight, it was different because he was southpaw and he was kind of very awkward stance, very 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 weird, and he was throwing whenever I was thinking about how to get into this guy because he was standing very weird. He started throwing kicks and things. So he was not easy to deal on the feet. I'm not saying he's like really good on the feet, but he's like kind of weird. It's kind of like throws you out of place. And Grutzmacher is like a little more forward. He comes like marching forward a lot and throwing strikes. So yeah, my plan was to like keep him outside, keep him at the end of my range because I have longer reach. So I tried that. Like keeping him like at the end of my kicks of my straight lefts, and yeah, it kind of worked for a moment. But then he starts like getting close. So I was okay. We gotta like close the range because I also knew this. If I let him grab his clinch, he starts like throwing uppercuts like crazy and dirty boxing, and I think he didn't land like basically anything from that. I think I canceled that pretty good. By throwing elbows, by throwing knees, whenever we were in close range, because I knew if I let him do that, he starts fighting his fight. That's what he did on the Garcia fight. That's what he did on the Lawson fight. So you cannot let him be like comfortable inside. So I started like throwing from inside, and I think he never got to feel like comfortable on the short distance with me. I never let him.
How did it feel to get the finish in the fight? Because in the Levitt fight, you beat him by decision. So was it a little exciting to actually get the finish on Grutzmacher? Because I felt like once you got the striking going, I feel like that's what kind of led to you being able to submit him. I feel like he got scared of the striking aspect, and then you were able to kind of get him down and then make him tap.
Yeah, you know, whenever you get a finish on a tough guy, it's always satisfying because you know it doesn't come easy. Like these guys are like, also like getting a finish on anybody in the UFC is amazing. You know, like they're all such like good fighters, and it's not easy. You know, like these are well trained fighters. They're not like you're not fighting on the regional scene. Like these are the best, some of the best in the world. So it's always like pleasing for me. But at the same time, specifically in this fight, I said in a couple interviews before the fight that I was looking for a finish, that I wanted to finish this guy on any round. But what I meant was I needed a finish. Like I was coming off 2 decision wins, and I'm not a guy who likes winning by decision. Yeah, I like grappling a lot, but I like finishing the people I fight. Either TKO, KO, like submission. I don't mind that. For me, it's the same. A submission, I like as a knockout. Like I just want to finish the fights. But I said I needed a finish. Like I need it. Like I need to like progress on my career. So I don't want to be like also like a decision guy, because I'm always looking for finishes. Always.
Is there any news on when you're going to be fighting next? Have you heard anything of when or who it might be against?
No, nothing yet. I think I might. I want to take I am taking a little vacation, so I might start looking at fights in January. So probably not gonna hear nothing from me this year, but I'll have some news. I'll have some news for you guys later on next year.
Is there anybody specific that you're looking to fight, or are you just like you'll fight whoever they put in front of you?
Yeah, basically that. I fight whoever they put in front of me, like I've always done. Especially because I don't know where is my situation right now inside the UFC. I don't know where I'm situated, so we'll see with whatever they give me this fight, where I'm standing at, who can I ask for next, and well, we'll see if there's any interesting fights.
And one of the last things I wanted to ask you before I let you go, how's training at the gym? How's like the camaraderie there? Because there's so many people, I feel like there that train there. Do you pick anybody's brain there to help you get compared on the fights? It depends on the fights. And then do you get people coming to you at all?
So training pace and like energy in Sanford is very very high. There's always people training for fights, which was not the case in Peru. Sometimes like I had to bring my own training partner, so I had to like be on the phone like before practices to like try to get guys on the mats. So that's something that changes here. Like there's always people on the mat, and not like few, like a lot of like guys, like motivated guys, like hungry, training for their upcoming fights, or like not even, or just like helping out other dudes that are gonna compete. And we have like great coaching. So yeah, I think that's the recipe for success. You need to be determined, and you need to have good coaching. And well, there are like some like secondary things that come in, that's like having like a great facility, and well, a couple more things. But man, like this is a place where you're gonna get better. If you put in the work and you stay consistent, you're gonna get better. Like there's no other thing. It's gonna happen, and it's not overnight. These guys like spend like all the times in the gym, and that's basically what I did. What I did this year. So I just worked so hard that things like started, like opportunities knocked my door. I took the fights, and then I had good results.
And then the last question I have for you is, for anybody that's trying to make it pro, what's the biggest advice that you would give them to improve?
Well, one advice I like to give fellow Peruvian fighters, because like I have a lot of people looking after me, from Peru especially, because that's the country where I come from, and there's like younger kids, younger fighters that are amateur. They're coming up. They want to go pro. They want to go to the UFC, and they see somebody from their country who's still young at the UFC with a good streak. Like, it makes him believe like it's real, like it can happen. Like I came out fighting from Peru. I've trained like all my life in Peru until this year. So and I was on a winning streak in the UFC training in Peru. So they see it's possible. So one thing I always tell them, like don't rush it. Like people sometimes they want to fight too quick. Like they want to fight like professional too quick. They want to like do like everything in a year and get to the UFC, and that's not like the best. Like I got to the UFC early, and I still think that I wasn't ready. I have actually luck that I got injured and I had to be sidelined, because I grew on that time. I got better in that time. Even if I didn't train, I got better like on my head. Like, and that's what I needed to be ready for this like bigger fights, for these upcoming fights, to be ready mentally. And don't try to rush the process, because it doesn't happen overnight. And if you get like these like hard fights on a bad moment, on a moment that you're not ready, you might not get like your best version.
Exactly. And then just like you said, you used the time wisely when you were out to better yourself, rather than to just sit there and stay idle. You used it, and it worked out for the better, because you were able to improve as a fighter, and I applaud you for that. But I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and to talk to us. And I would like to wish you luck with your UFC career. I'm definitely a fan of yours, and I'm glad you helped me out in proving a lot of people wrong, because just like I said, in the past two fights, I thought you were going to win where other people thought you were going to lose, and you helped me prove them wrong. So I thank you for that.
Hey, no worries, man. Thank you for having my back on those fights as well. And I hope you made some money on the betting.
I definitely did, put it that way. But thanks again for coming on, and I hope you enjoy your holidays.
Thank you. I hope you too. I hope you enjoy the holidays as well, and thank you for having me here.
No problem. I will talk to you later.
All right, man.
See you. Once again, that was Claudio Puelles, El Nino. He won a couple weeks ago against Chris Grutzmacher. I just want to thank him once again for coming on the show and talking to me. It was great to talk to him. You can find him on Instagram. His name is Prince of Peru. So definitely follow him on Instagram. Check him out. Send him some love. And it's crazy to think that he is a fan of skateboarding, because I don't know any other fighter that has done that while he trains. So that's a cool little fact to know about Claudio Puelles. But before I get going, as always, this is Cage My IQ, the best place for MMA content. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch at the handles to the left. We are partnered with the Fighters First Network on YouTube, so all I ask for you to do is go to Fighters First on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and then, of course, hit the like button on this video and give us a comment. Let us know what you think of the interview. And as always, let everybody know about Cage My IQ. We strive on doing everything to give you guys the MMA content that you look for. And then, of course, check out our sponsor at High Tide Herbal. But here's a video about them if you don't know about them already.
Offering high-quality, sustainable products with all-natural, lab-tested ingredients, it's High Tide Herbal's mission to help others live the longest, healthiest, and most productive lives possible. Their hemp-derived CBD products have a wide variety of uses, from helping sore muscles to skin hydration and minimizing skin irritation. They generate results based on your specific needs. Elevate your lifestyle with the new wave of wellness. Visit hightideherbal.com to learn more.
Once again, that's High Tide Herbal. All you got to do is go to www.hightideherbal.com, put in the promo code CageMyIQ at checkout to receive 10% off your next purchase. So once again, go to hightideherbal.com and put in the promo code CageMyIQ10 at checkout to receive 10% off your next purchase. But that is the end of our interview. I would like to once again thank Claudio Puelles for coming on. But as always, I'm your host, D-Bake, and you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in.